Those quizzes, the online quizzes are right there in Schoology. You get multiple attempts. Open book, yes.
That was going to be my question.
Yeah, open book, multiple attempts. You can take them with your friends. It's just to give you credit for reviewing the material through what's in the textbook. And from now on, all these projects are in the textbook, and we basically go through each of those projects. And I throw in a little extra fun along the way, little things that I think are better to, added to learn that may not be in the textbook. But remember, you're responsible for what's in the textbook, and this gives you credit for it by taking that quiz. So don't forget about that. All right, so let's finish up WD1. Let's bring up my version that I had from before, and we'll get going. Get logged in as your special account for this course. I'm not going to open what's there. That's section 1. I'm going to open my section 2 file, which is right over here, section 2. There's the Wash Your Hands by Jay Smart in my section 2. And this is how far I got last time. We got as far as that nice, lovely visual effects on a text box. A good skill to have. Remember, the shaded paragraph was what's behind there. Boring. But look what I can do with that text box. And as I can adjust the wrapping, I can put this all over without having the text move around on me. So let's finish up the rest of this by first adjusting the text size. I'm going to bring my electronic textbook up here. Going to the part where we adjust our text size for the rest of the project. And where are my, there it is. Okay, so we're going to be basically giving a larger font to the line below. This is going to become a big main line. I believe the font for that is 22 point. And we're going to give it a special color. Remember, what we want it to look like is this. So we have the content, but now we want the rest of it to look like this. So this is going to be larger. It's going to look purple at first. Then we're going to adjust our color table. We're going to have numbered list and a bulleted list and a little eye candy in the middle. So let's adjust the font size of that paragraph. After we did the shaded, I got to get past the shaded paragraph part in my document here. Yeah, there it is. So let's get the formatting done. The size of that text is going to be, I'll get to that right size here. I believe they're going to be 22 point. There we go. 20 point is the rest of it. And the main paragraph underneath that, there we go, is going to be 22 point. Okay, so this paragraph I want to select. Remember how I can select this paragraph? Click in the margins or do the triple click in the middle of the paragraph. Triple click, and now I can Control Shift greater than to increase the font size, or I can simply come up here and select 22 point. Main title. If it's not centered, click the centering tab, or the centering font icon there. And we're also going to change the color of that text within our color theme, which I can do right up here, choosing from my color theme the second from the right, second from the bottom. Indigo, accent 2, darker, 25%. Now the rest of this, we want this all to be the same size font, because you don't want to do too much mixing fonts or sizes of fonts. The easiest way I like to check to select the text Control A selects everything in my page, but I don't want to select everything. I want to leave this alone. So I'm going to start clicking here and dragging, and then I roll down to the very last, or second to the last sentence, and shift select. You could have dragged through, but I like the start clicking and then go to the end and shift click. Now the font size we want for the rest of it is going to be, I believe, 20 point. Make sure I got that right. Yes, 20 point. So I can Control Shift greater than and watch the number go up to 20 in that font size, or come to the font size and choose 20 point. Now I'm going to zoom out a little bit and see that, yes, my poster is looking decently. It doesn't fill the page completely, but we're going to work on that. This side, these lines here, though, I want to be a bulleted list. No, not a numbered list. This is going to be a bulleted list at the bottom. So how do I make a numbered list? Easy peasy. Select through it, whatever choice you like for selection. And now when I just started the selection, it pops up this little mini menu. It's the same thing as that home menu, and if I click off of this and come back, it may not come back for me. I'm just going to choose numbered list. This little arrowy thing lets me know that I could choose other versions of numbered lists, but I'm going to go with the standard numbered. But you can do lots of your own formatting of numbered lists. I'm going to choose the standard. So that little arrowy thingy gives you lots of options. Numbered list, and then down here we're going to make this a bulleted list. Select through, and my mini menu pops up. I can choose bulleted list there, or other kinds of bullets. I could even make my custom bullet with my own face in there, or some cool little graphic. You can always do a custom bullet. I'm going to go with a standard, just a little black dot bullet. And it's already looking a little more professional, a little more organized. We're not going to do this image that's going to come here yet. Let's jump down to this bottom line. And we're now going to fix this very last line. This is going to become our signature line. First thing I want to fix here is I don't want to have this be a hyperlink. Right click is your friend. Right click, remove hyperlink. This should be a centered paragraph, so I'm going to center this. I do want the text to be larger, so I'm going to triple click. I'm going to zoom out so I can see the full page. I'm going to triple click and then Control Shift greater than until I get a size that's either there or, oh, I don't want it to wrap. There. If you want to go a little back from the largest, looks like that's the largest possible before it wraps. You can come back one or two. I'll give you the choice, as long as that's reasonably almost filling the page left to right. And this one here, I think we're going to also color that paragraph the same color as that top color. Let's make sure I got that right. We did the bullets, did the numbered list, remove the hyperlink, and centered it. Yes, and the color is going to be the same as the color we had from the top one. It's selected. It remembers that color that I chose last, but I'm going to make sure that I have the right color. Go down to the second from the right, second from the bottom. It does remember the last color you chose. I could have just clicked font color, but I wanted to be sure that that's the color it was choosing. And remember, that is a location in the color table that if we change our color design, whatever color is showing up here will become my new color. So I can zoom out now to see what I have. Oh, it's beautiful. We're going to, before we bring in our picture, we're going to fix or add a few things here. We want to emphasize or underline additional hand washing tips. So So we're going to underline this by dragging through it, and then Control U, or clicking on the quick menu, underline. Control U is a underline. I don't often underline, so I often use the either Home tab or the quick menu. We're also going to italicize some text to emphasize it. We'd like to italicize prevent, the word prevent, up at the very top. Slide up to the top, double click, and Control I, or click the quick menu icon. We decide, or someone comes and says, we want to emphasize the first word of these paragraphs. Wet, lather, scrub, rinse, dry. There's not one word to emphasize here, so we'll skip trying to emphasize that one. I could double click, Control B, double click, Control B, or double click, Control double click, Control double click, and then Control B, or bold, and it will do them all at once. Control select lets you select things that are not connected. It's a dangerous thing to do because if you forget one, you have to start all over. But we made each of these bolded. You can choose to bold a word in this one if you like, but I couldn't find a good one. Now, let's see, are we ready for some eye candy? I've done a little work. I'm going to do a Control S just to make sure I haven't lost my work. And we're now ready for a picture. Control S to save. I generally do go in the order through these projects as they are in the textbook. Sometimes I'll jump around just because some things are more interesting, but if you're working through the textbook, I'm trying to follow this pretty much the same order. The image is going to go here, and remember, I can see that I left a blank line here for an image. There is more room than one blank line to place my image, but let's go find an image, and then we'll adjust its location and maybe some of its wrapping. So how do I find an image? I could go to Insert and go to Pictures, and I have pictures on this device. I could have downloaded a picture and unzipped it or taken a picture from my camera. I'm going to go ahead and go to Online Pictures because that's the easiest place to go. I could copy paste from images.google.com. Let's go to Online Pictures and see how we could find a picture. Let's choose a search for, how about hand washing. One word or two word, I don't think it matters. And you get a lot of possible pictures for representing hand washing. Now I'd like one with soap because it did mention soap. Here's a nice one. I'm going to let you choose the image that you would like. You can choose a cartoony image or realistic. I'm going to go with this one. Double click and it pops your image in there. But it's kind of annoying because it actually gives you an image with some text around it that I don't want to have in my document. You'd think I could crop that away, but crop is not available. What do? Here's a little trick. I click on it again and I see that I actually have a picture in the middle that's inside of another box. Apparently Online Pictures come as two pictures, kind of one wrapped in another. I think if I do a Control X, it removes the picture from inside of there and leaves that little box that now I can click and remove, delete. Now I can Control V, paste the picture that I had from the inside of that box. Now if you do it another way, like going and get a picture from images.google.com, you can copy and then paste. It may give you a picture ready to go. Now right now, this picture is floating independently of all my text. I kind of like that because that lets me add some extra lines inside of that poster to make room for my picture. I could let Microsoft do the wrapping for me, top and bottom, but I want to have complete control where my picture goes. So I'm manually adding some extra lines. And if I add another line, if I add too many, it goes off to the next page. I don't want to add too many because I don't want it forcing another page. So I'm going to add, for mine, if I add if I have 4 paragraphs in there, I have room for my picture. Now I can adjust my picture, and you can adjust it how you like. If you want it offset, you don't have to center it. I'll let you adjust your picture to taste. I like them, not super big. You have to maybe leave a little space between it and the surrounding text. Adjust its location, but still, we could fancy this up a little bit. I'm going to turn off my paragraph marks to see how that would look on my poster. I could crop this now, like any picture. If I select it under picture format, I do have cropping available. Cropping is a nice thing if you say you've got you don't want to have this extra extra image around there. I could come here and crop by grabbing the little marks. I could crop out a corner. I'm not going to crop too much because the hands are kind of centered within that image. Cropped a little bit from the right side. I have to either click off of it or hit enter to complete my cropping. And now that's treated as my image. Now let's make that image even more interesting. With picture format tab, let's choose an image style. I'm going to let you choose any image style. You hover over them. You pick the one you like. And I'm going to pick a kind of plain one, but I'm going to fix it up a little bit. I'm going to choose that plain one. I can always start with a picture style and then add additional effects here, just like I could do my text boxes. I can choose a built-in style, but then add to it, choosing a glow, or 3D rotation, or a bevel. You can add to an already built-in style. Let's see what happens if I go back and choose another style. I believe it throws away the additional effects I had added, and I have to go back and re-add my picture effects. So if you're going to choose a style but add to it, choose the style first, then add to it. Because if you add to it and then decide, oh, I wanted this, it throws away your initial changes. So choose a style and then add additional effects to however you like. If you wanted more picture effects and complete control over it, you can go down to 3D rotation styles. And notice here, this pops up, this menu, and this has all my options in there that I could manually adjust. If I have a 3D style that I want to pick, I could choose a rotation of my own choosing. I could choose a glow size of my own choosing. Completely custom once the format picture dialog pops up. And you could even apply some artistic effects. I think you have to click to see the artistic effect. Lots of options available to you once you have a picture inserted. And as I choose the option, I might want to adjust my size a bit. So go crazy. You can make it as wacko as you want just to get familiar with those picture options. And before I leave, let's zoom out to make sure. Oh, I made it a little too big. It's not the picture. Remember how I added that extra line? Let me remove an extra line and then come back and adjust my picture to fit within that space I left for it. And while we're here, notice that little wrapping. If the text moves around on you when you move your picture, it's because you have some wrapping options that cause the text to wrap around it. And now you may like that effect. Like you could wrap, typically you want to wrap it so the text isn't split. You could leave a little, let Microsoft control some wrapping. If you want to have you in complete control, you can turn off the wrapping by sending the picture to be in front of text. That means leave the text alone as I adjust my picture, and it's up to you to not be blocking the text. It lets you tromp over text if you wanted to, and Word doesn't try to wrap around it. So knowing how to bring in images and how to control the wrapping, that can really add some pizzazz to your document, and you might add some interest to it. You see that in articles all the time. They throw in graphics just to make it interesting to the eye. That's why I call it eye candy. Okay, we've got our image, and now we're going to finish up this document. I think all we have left is a nice border to it. Let's make sure I haven't missed anything. We might want to do some spelling checking. I don't see any typos. I do see, oh, I must have accidentally hit an extra line there. There's where my extra line came around. I'm going to get rid of that extra line I accidentally threw in there. Now I have a little more room. I'm going to give me back that extra line I had in there and enlarge my picture a little bit. Now in the textbook they show you how to insert a picture from a file that they give you, but I think the more common way you're going to do it is insert from online pictures. I'm just going to quick show you. Suppose I found a picture out on images.google.com and I just search for hand washing. And so out on images.google.com, I can choose a picture. I can right click on any of these if I like them. I could right click copy image. Then I could come over to my document, Alt Tab pops me back to my document, and I could deselect that so I don't replace it. I could Control V and I have that image. And that image looks like it came in wrapped. Let me see if it lets me move that around. Oh, it's wanting to wrap text. I could make that independent of my text and do the same color effect. So copy, paste, or copy image and paste. You can do that as well. You don't have to have two images. I'm just showing you. Very nice to add a little bit to your document, but that's good enough. Now I'm going to add a border. I think all we have left is to add a border and finish up this document. With images, you can adjust the proportions of it. Oh, did I show you? If I click on that and Control click while I'm adjusting, it zooms or resizes, keeping the center this where it was. If I don't have Control, when I resize this, it drags it to the right. If I drag any of the middle resizing, it warps my picture a bit. But if I grab a corner, it generally keeps the proportions. Control keeps it centered where it is. Time for a border. And we're going to go to a border of a particular type of line. So I go to, not picture format, I go to, is it design or layout? Design, yes. Design, way to the right is my picture border. Notice my border isn't showing up because I'm in the middle of having a picture selected. I have to select within my document. Now it lets page border show up. And the border we're going to choose, slide down this list a little bit ways down to where you see a squiggly, and it's the second one past the double squiggly. I don't know if it has a name. With borders, I can choose the style of border, then the color of the border. We're going to choose the fourth from the right, second from the bottom. And I could choose a width of that border. Go ahead, maybe let's make it a little wider. I'm going to go 6 point. If you wanted to do fancy artsy photos, artsy border, you have a choice of lots of artsy borders. We're going to go with this plain style. Yes?
What was the color again?
It was a fourth from the right column, second from the bottom.
Okay.
Now we are going to adjust our color table in a second here, but it will be the fourth from the right, second from the bottom. And now I have my border, but now as I finish this up, I'm realizing purple doesn't make me think clean as much as a bluish. So we want to change our color theme now in my design. Let's choose a color theme of a bluish, and in the book they choose blue 2. But there's, you notice there's lots of bluish colors here, but they thought blue 2 was the cleanest feeling color scheme. So remember, anytime I selected a color theme, like the color of my border, now that I've changed my color table, that becomes a bluish color. Whereas if I had chosen a standard color, it was always going to stay that standard color. So that's making me think bluish. And I do have, I'm checking one last time that I didn't go off, accidentally create a second page. That's the most common error. You want to fit it nicely, but one extra line here will cause it to roll to another page, and I don't want that. So make sure it fits on one page. Adjust your spacing, adjust your picture. And I'm not going to be too fussy if your picture isn't perfectly centered. You can even rotate it a bit. The main thing here is so you understand all the things you can do to make a nice poster. Now, one thing that's bothering me here is that border. My graphic here is right up against the border. I think I would like a little space around that. Let's see if I can adjust my graphic a little bit. Just give me a little space between it and the border. I suppose I could also adjust my margins. That shaded paragraph is showing up too. I could grab my margins for that there, or I could adjust my margins on my main. Let's go back. I'm going back to my main page and adjust my margins on that paragraph. Bring that in a tiny bit. There we go. I can adjust my margins manually. And then I'll bring my text box back. I'd like a little bit of white around there, just to give it a little better border looking. And I'm not going to be fussy. You don't have to be that precise. Just as long as you have the basic elements. And of course, don't make it go to 2 pages, because that will come out just wrong. You want to be sure it fits on 2 pages. And there you have your wonderful little poster and reviewing of proper hygiene when you wash your hands. Control S to save it one more time. And one thing I want to show you before we get ready to upload, we want to save our name somewhere in this document. Now I could type my name here in the text, or I could save my name in the document properties. Let me show you where that goes. File, Info. I can actually put my name in the comments. Put my email. I'm going to put title here, hand washing basics. I could put a tag of hygiene, comments, email, and I'll make jsmart@mace.edu for corrections. I could click on show all properties, and I can see who modified it, who was logged in when they modified this. Let's see if I can specify the manager. I'll call it Joe Manager. Look at that. Does it let me put a picture of Joe Manager? Oh, someone from my address book I could add for manager. Now, right now I am not logged in. I will bet you if I were signed in, I might have more choices that might show up because it knows my contacts in my Microsoft account. I am not logging in because I don't like to be enslaved to Microsoft, but I could add text like completed 9/11/23, category cs101, all sorts of information that can go into the extra information that's saved with my file. The main thing, if you're doing authors of things, you might put your email here, that people that have this paper could always refer back to you. If you have particular notes, you could also, to make sure you know where this file is, if you hover over file location, it'll show you where that file is right now. In case you are confused about where that file went, you can either hover over that, or if you click on it, it actually will open the folder where that is. See, it's in my section 2 folder. It pops up a file explorer. So it's handy to know all you can do back here in the info. And total editing time, 4,266 minutes. I'm not sure where it got that number from. I wasn't spending that much time editing this file. Need a word count? Gives you that information right there in the info too. I believe it's showing that on the status bar as well down here in the lower left. So that gives you a lot of interesting things you can do in the file info. And now the save, Control S, save. Another way to find out where your file is, a handy thing, is if you do a save as, it usually shows you the last place you were when you saved that file. And if you click browse, it takes you to the last place you saved it. So if you don't remember file info, the save as shows you, when you click browse, the last place you were with this file. And that's very nice to know where it is, because you're going to have to download it. I'm going to go back to file info, and I'm going to do open file location, because then now I'm ready to upload that. I can click and drag that when I'm ready to send it to Schoology, which I am now, right? We finished our border. I did a save, one last save, and I can close Word. Occasionally I do find if Word still has your file open, sometimes it messes up trying to upload it somewhere. So it's safest to close Word when you're done with the file. And here I have it from, I have a starting file from before. It's safest to close Word. Now I'm getting ready to go upload it to Schoology. Let me go in as my student J Smart. Come over here. I'm getting ready now to upload it to Schoology. I'm going to section 2. I could go assignments, Word Project 1, or I could go to my grades, and it shows me all my projects. And poor Mr. Smart, he hasn't been uploading any homework either. There's nothing showing here. I'm going to go to Word Project 1, see how that takes me to the assignment. Now on click Submit Assignment, this little thing here pops up. I can click and drag my file here. By clicking, I can drag it to there until it turns green, and it's ready to drop it on the upload section. I put a little comment in here. I promise to do better at washing my hands. Or any comment whatsoever. Had a problem here, or Word had a bug in it, or any comments here. You don't have to put a comment if you don't want. Then I click Submit, and John Smart then has submitted his homework. If you realize, oh man, I forgot one thing, I can go back, fix it, and I can, let's see if I can just click Resubmit. I can drag it again over to there and click Submit. When I am grading your projects, I only look at the newest submission. I don't count anything except the very last one. So be sure that the very last one you submit has all the corrections in it. Don't submit me 10 files and say, well, the first one had this in it. No, it's the very last one submitted gets graded. I don't think it lets you delete a submission. It only lets you resubmit. Now, I don't know if anyone wants to create a portfolio because Schoology is going away. I haven't messed with portfolios. I'm guessing that's where you can share portfolios, at least among other Schoology members. I don't know if it gives you a public web page, but portfolios are a good thing to think about as you get in your final years of college. Something to present to your employer. Okay, so that's been submitted, and Mr. Smart has finished this assignment number, word project number 1. I don't need to close that. I'm just going to move that off my page. All right, and the file is there in my section 2, and let's see, the date shows when I just completed that. And there you go. Word Project 1 is now complete, part 2. Now we'll get started on Word Project 2 just in a minute here. I'll give you time if you want to submit that. Remember, if you're not quite there, you need to work some more. You have your textbook to complete anything else if you need to go back to anything. I'm going to, yes?
When we, or at least I noticed it for myself, when I upload